All right. First of all, I want to, just thank all you guys for the season, the way you guys have covered us. I think you guys do a great job. You're very fair and accurate, and I really appreciate the job you guys have done for our football program, and appreciate having you guys around. Look forward to the season ahead. Now for us, it's all about finishing the semester academically really well and recruiting. Our coaches are out on the road right now. We've got 2 big recruiting weekends coming up this weekend and next weekend. Those will be huge for us, particularly before the early signing period. And we got some really good-looking prospects coming in here we're really excited about. So that's a big focus for us right now. And then meeting with our players that'll be returning. Some of these guys we're talking about, changing positions. Sometimes we're talking about just setting expectations of where they need to be next year and through the off season, what they need to do, and exit interviews and all those type of things. But really appreciate our team, their effort this year. I thought they really learned a lot, and they competed hard. And we had a disappointing season. I really feel like we underachieved this year. I know they feel like that, and I certainly do too. It was interesting. I asked our players what they learned from this season. The first thing that came out of their mouth was success is hard to continue. And sometimes you get arrogant when you've won and you don't listen like you did before and have the same attitude you had before. And I think that's very accurate for this team. And so if we can learn from that going forward as coaches and players, then I think we got a chance to be a really good football program. We've got, I think, 8 or 9 returners on offense. Off a very productive offense. It was pretty good down the stretch, and it's only going to get better with Josh Adkins and his leadership. And then defensively, the last 2 games, we probably played our best 2 games of the season. Just prepared a little bit better and kind of got our attitude fixed on that side. So got to do some recruiting work on that side. But I think we got a chance to have a really good football team next year, and it starts now. It starts laying that foundation now. So that's what we're working on. Any questions?
Did we or did you, coming off the bowl game, were expectations maybe set like too high, just based on like what you did last year, how many guys you had back? Like, were there unrealistic expectations given everything that this?
Yeah, I don't want to say that they're unrealistic. I mean, we should all have high expectations here of succeeding, and I really think we could have, Jason. I think there's certainly games that we could have and probably should have won that we didn't. What I will say is, we had to replace some really key players. We all know that. We lost some guys that were really key to our football program on both sides of the ball, and that is hard to replace. But more than that, the harder thing is when you're at a place that has not had success, learning how to handle success. That was a big jump for us, and that's what I really think our team learned this year, that it's not going to happen just because you want it to and because people say it's going to. You got to put the work in. You got to have the right attitude and everything again. To make all that happen. So, I'm glad there were expectations. I certainly hope there's going to be expectations for this year coming up. No, I wouldn't think they were unreasonable. But it's always going to be difficult here. I mean, it's, it is an us against the world deal, and we do things here that other people don't have to do. We don't have resources that other people have. We all know that. I mean. Look around. We just went to a bowl game for the first time in 57 years. There's not one facility being built here right now. Everybody else is building new locker rooms, new weight rooms, new coaches' offices, all that stuff. It's an arms race for recruiting. We don't have that here. We don't have that to sell here. We need that. We need somebody, an NMSU alum, somebody that cares about this football program, to come in here and make that happen for us, because people always say, well, why don't y'all go out and recruit bigger, faster players? Well, what do we have to sell them right now? We've got to have facilities. We've got to have a commitment from the university to football. You've got to have all those things. We've got some great things here to sell academically, a fantastic city in Las Cruces. We've got really good fan base that cares. We got great players and coaches here. But, when you start looking around at what other people have, and Liberty is a great example. None of you guys were there, but they've got a multi-million-dollar indoor facility. They've got a stadium that's nicer than anybody in the Sun Belt, and right on down the line. And we recruit against them a lot. So there's some challenges here, and we all understand that. But that's one of the things that's exciting, is that we're able to do it against those odds.
So maybe maybe part of the recruiting pitch is just that you're pitching the guys, hey, you can be a part of what this could potentially become down the line?
Oh, there's no question. That's exactly what we're selling. We sell to kids, you're going to come here and you're going to be part of building something. So when all those facilities are built here and this place looks like other places like Boise State and Utah State and all those type of places, you can look back as a player and say, yeah, I was the group that got that done. And that's exciting, and so that's the group of guys that we're looking for.
Are you hearing anything about the future, Coach, in that respect? Are you hearing anything, any conversations? Can you give us some insight?
Far as
The building with what you
Well, I
believe
know-
needs to be
yeah.
done.
I know, Mario has a great vision for what he would like to get done here, and I certainly think those things are being pursued. But again, we need somebody to step up for us, an alum or somebody outside this program that really wants to help us. And Royal Jones did that for us on that weight room. That weight room is one of the nicest things we have to sell here, and Royal made that happen. And we need some other people like that to step up and make these things happen.
Would you say that? I think so, but you're on the inside. Is that what it would take to take the next step as far as facilities and whatever other infrastructure? The university's kind of gone as far as it can. Realistically, you need outside donations now.
Well, I don't, I'm not familiar with all the workings of the money and all those type of things, Jason. I just know that, you've got to invest in the football program. There's things that we need. One thing that I'm hoping that comes about is, we'll play 3 power conference games next year. When we started this independent race and all these things, one of the things that I asked for and I hope to get is that the money from one of those games should just go right to the football program. We put money in here for every other sport to succeed. $1.9 million for playing Alabama this coming year. That money doesn't go to football, it goes to the athletic department, which is great. We're all for that. But if we're playing 3 of those games, I'd like for one of those to go to the football program. And you talk about changing a program, that could change us. That could change a lot of things for us. And Mario and I have talked a lot about that, and I know he's in support of that, and we're working on those things. We got a great AD here. We got a great chancellor here now that I really believe in, has really reached out to me several times and been nothing but supportive. So it's time. There's a good time right now. There's a window to get these things done, and I really hope they'll be pursued.
Is scheduling opponents like that, the Power 5 schools, is that something that you're going to continue doing? Because maybe, this year it was a tough start, 0-4, maybe kind of that was where the wheels kind of fell off, but is that something you still want to continue to do?
Well, we have to play those games because, again, we support the athletic department here. The football program does. And so we're the only program that has the ability to make that type of money playing those power conference games. So you're always going to play at least 2 of those here. I don't think you need to play 3, like I say, unless the money's going to go to the football for the 3rd one. That's what we did when I was at East Carolina. We were very successful building a football program there like that from an independent standpoint, and that's where I'd like to see us go. And again, I've got a very supportive administration here that's trying to make those things happen, and it's a process though, and so hopefully it'll get there.
I wanted to ask you just 2 years ago. You had Larry Rose. You were a balanced offense. You still threw the ball a lot. Last year, you went to basically a throw-based, a pass-based offense. I was just wondering if you could talk about that kind of change for you as the offensive coach.
Well, it's more along the lines of what can we do with the talent that we can recruit. What can we recruit here? We can recruit really good quarterbacks here, and we can recruit really good wide receivers. We can get some running backs with speed. But I don't know that we're ever going to have the offensive line that's going to be able just to line up and knock people off the ball. Those guys are going to power conference schools, and we all understand that. So as an offensive coach, what is your best avenue to score points and to win games? You've got, in today's game, you're not going to beat people 17-14 anymore. You look across the country, there's no defenses, particularly in the group of 5, that are holding people to low-scoring games. So if you don't score 30 points, you're not winning games. And so that's the avenue that, and last year was a great example. It gave us the avenue to win games. And kind of this year, had we done that a couple more times, we'd be in a much better situation. And if Josh had been our starting quarterback for the whole year and had developed a little bit quicker, then that might have happened for us. But it'll certainly happen for us in the future. So,
Was there a conversation though? That's what it was like 2 years ago. Did you knew you had Tyler and receivers? Like, was there a conversation with your staff that like, this is how we're going to go this year, and we're going to see how it plays out?
oh yeah, I mean, we've always thrown the ball a lot. I mean, people try to, we've never been more than 60-40. It's always been pass run, even when Larry was in his heydays here. But we did go more to the passing game purposely, for that reason. And we also actually had that talk with Larry, that because he was coming back for his senior year, and it was important that he knows he's still going to be involved in the offense, and obviously he was. And running backs that are involved in the passing game are even more attractive to NFL teams now, so that's something that helps us in recruiting. So yeah, it was a very purposeful decision to get that done. And when you look across the country at other teams, Jason, I think it's important to look at, like, Washington State is a great example. That's the team we're very similar to offensively. Well, they don't get the same type of players that UCLA and USC and Washington get, but they're competing and beating those teams now because they're able to score points. And now, all of a sudden, they've gotten to where they can compete a little bit better defensively. So on years where we go out and we play pretty good defense like we did in 2017, along with the ability to score, those are the years we're going to have really good football teams around here that'll be successful and go to bowl games. This year we really struggled defensively for whatever reasons, injuries or whatever it was. And we got off to a slow start offensively, but, it just didn't click together. But hopefully, in the future, we got 9 starters back, I think, on offense. And then if we can get back to where we were defensively, we got a chance to beat anybody.
Josh obviously proved that he's a guy moving forward that you can build around. How much, as much as the quarterback likes to throw the football, though, you ask them to make the right decision like every time, right? I mean, is that a good, like, how do you balance, like, can this freshman make every single right decision on 50 dropbacks? Like,
Well, he's been pretty good. He.
you need that kind of player, though, right?
Oh yeah, you've got to. I mean, it doesn't matter what system you're in. You've got to have a quarterback that can make decisions and make good decisions and be playmakers. You're only as good as your players. I mean, that's always going to be that way. But there's a lot of quarterbacks out there recruitable for us that can do the things that we're doing. And Josh is one of those guys. He's proven to be really good, and we got 3 more years with him, and he's only going to get better. That's the great news about him.
Guys got any more questions? Ken, do you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the next couple of weeks being, the focus is obviously recruiting. What would you say is the priority in terms of recruiting right now?
You talking about position-wise, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly on defense, it's linebackers and in the secondary. We really felt pretty good about a lot of our defensive line. Most of them are coming back, and we actually played pretty good in that area. But, when we look at other teams, when you look at the linebackers and the DBs, that's where we're behind right now. And we've got to have a good mix there, some junior college guys that can maybe help us right away, and we got to go keep pounding the high schools like we have been. We don't ever want to get away from that being our base of recruiting. So those 2 positions there. Offensively, it's, wide receivers. We'll probably sign 4 wide receivers. We'll have 4 seniors next year as wide receivers, so we're going to want to replace them in this class. And then offensive line. We're always after offensive linemen, so we'll try to land a couple of those guys.
And the other thing you kind of mentioned is that you've got some guys thinking about changing positions. Anybody you can tell us about?
Well, no, not right now, because I like to talk to those guys first, and that's what this week is all about. And it's interesting. I'm looking at guys all across the nation that are transferring and all that stuff, and you see this all the time. And kids have really gotten away from being unselfish and being team players. And I would just remind everybody, and I put this out on Twitter today, Terrell Hanks came here as a free safety, and we approached Terrell about moving to linebacker. And he didn't want to move at that time, but he did it because he understood it was best for the team and he trusted the coaching staff. And now Terrell Hanks is in position to go to the Senior Bowl and be an NFL football player. That's what's missing with kids today. Christian Gibson, we've talked about a lot this year. He's another example of that. Christian could have left here the first couple of years. He wasn't getting to play. He was a safety. We moved him over to running back. His first year at running back, he still didn't play a lot. And then this year, all of a sudden, he blossomed and it all worked and he emerged. And I just really think kids need to get back to that. Those are the guys I'm looking for. If we've got guys that, like you're seeing all over the place that don't want to be here because they don't want to change positions, and I don't want them here because I want team guys. I want guys that are worried about our football team and New Mexico State more than they're worried about themselves. And when you find guys like that, all that individual stuff they're chasing, it comes to them naturally. Just like Terrell, all the individual awards for him have come to him naturally because he was a team guy and made that move years ago. Larry Rose, same way. Everything came to Jaleel Scott, same way. Jaleel Scott was one of the most unselfish players I've ever been around. And, those guys, all the individual stuff just comes to them naturally instead of, chasing it. And so anyway, I'm on my soapbox a little bit here right now, but those are the guys that we're after, and those are the guys we're talking to. And there's probably not many of those guys for us, Ken, maybe two, but I think they're moves that could help us.
Going into the season, I thought that your schedule, and I still think, you played a good schedule, but I thought there was one team with a winning record going into the season, and now there's 6 bowl eligible teams, and Labor can get bowl eligible this week. So the schedule turned out maybe harder than
It was a little tough. Yeah, it was a little tough. It was, but you never know what you're going to get before the season because last year's schedule is last year's schedule. I thought it was. I will say this. I think Mario's done an incredible job of putting together these schedules for us. I thought this schedule was really good. I will say this: next year's schedule is probably going to be the toughest of any Group of 5 team in the nation, especially when you look at what we're starting off with. Washington State, Alabama, San Diego State. I don't know anybody that's going to be any tougher than those 3 to begin with. But there's still plenty of games in there that we have opportunities to compete and play well and win games. The ability to play an FCS team is huge for us now. I wish it would get back up in the front of the season, but it's still really good for us. And then past this season, the schedules are really good. They're really good. They're friendly for our players. They're friendly for our fans. They're geographically friendly for our recruiting areas and those type of things. So there's really some bright times ahead for this football program, especially with the guys we have coming back and the foundation that's been laid. So it's just a matter of getting the mentality back.
When is spring practice?
I hadn't set the exact date. It'll probably be around the 1st of March, though. March 2nd, I think, is the date we're looking at right now. We'd like to get everything done before spring break again so that, again, if you have any injuries, guys have time to heal up, and academically it's better for the players that way. So when they come back for spring break, there's no practice. It's just weightlifting and academics, and they can finish up well that way. So.